Nathan Eovaldi throws another gem as the Rangers shut out the A's in a series opening win. We're going to talk about how freaking good Nathan Eovaldi has been and a look at this Rangers farm system. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, the founder and host for all 5 seasons of this Locked On Rangers podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Subscribe on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, May 12th, and your Rangers are 23-14, still alone atop the AL West with a 3.5 game lead after a shutout victory against the Oakland A's last night. And the story of the game is freaking Nathan Eovaldi. We're going to talk about him and the farm system. Corey Seager started his rehab stint. We'll get into all of that. But first, this episode is brought to you by gametime. Download the gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, Nathan Eovaldi was 1 out shy of his second complete game shutout of the season and only the 4th complete game of his career. It would have been the 3rd complete game shutout of his career, and he would have been the first pitcher in all of baseball this year to have multiple shutouts. He couldn't quite get it done at the end. The Rangers needed Will Smith to come in and get the 1-out save with a strikeout, his 7th of the season. But the Rangers offense didn't do a whole lot in this one, but the thing is, they didn't need to, because Nathan Eovaldi was absolutely on a freaking tear. 8 2/3 innings, just 3 hits, no runs at all, 1 walk, which came in the final inning, and 12 strikeouts, a new career high. Eovaldi had everything working for him in this one, and he was just mowing down A's hitters left and right. He threw the fastball 54 times and got 16 called strikes, 4 whiffs on that. The splitter was absolutely nasty. 12 swings and misses on that. A couple of swings and misses on the cutter. 1 swing and miss on the curveball. 19 swings and misses from him in this one, leading to those 12 strikeouts. The fastball was maxing out at 98.3 miles an hour, which was the fastest pitch thrown in this one. He had 4 of the 5 fastest pitches thrown in this one. Luis Medina, the starter for the A's, had the second fastest and the only other one on that leaderboard. He was just mowing hitters down. They could not face him. They could not do anything with him. And this is 3 straight starts where he has been absolutely untouchable. He had the complete game shutout against the Yankees lineup. He had 8 scoreless innings against the Angels lineup on this road trip, and then 8 2/3 innings against this Oakland A's lineup, which is not the best, but still has some quality hitters. It's the pitching that's clearly been the problem for the A's, and the A's pitcher in this one did not have much of a problem. He had a solid start. Luis Medina went 6 innings and had literally a quality start. Just 3 earned runs, and once the Rangers scratched out their first run, I thought, that might be enough with how Nathan Eovaldi has been performing this year. And the Rangers signed him to a 2-year, $34 million guaranteed deal. It's got performance bonuses and a vesting option that could take it all the way up to being a 3-year, $63 million deal. The fact that it's a vesting option and not a player option makes me feel really good that the Rangers are going to end up picking that up. I'm not sure exactly what all the vesting things are. Probably has something to do with the amount of innings that he pitches. Maybe there's like an awards bonus as well that makes that 2-year deal into a 3-year deal. The Rangers also had to give up their 3rd round pick. Oh, whoop-de-freaking-do. You would give up a 3rd round pick for Nathan Eovaldi every single time. At most, this is going to be averaging $21 million a year for this Nathan Eovaldi, who has been one of the best pitchers in the American League. He has just been so incredibly good. He leads the league in innings pitched. He is in the top 10 of strikeouts in 7th place. He is in the top 10 for ERA at 10th at 270 on the season. He's also in the top 10 for WAR for pitchers at 1.5 WAR. I think he was at 1 before this game, and this might have taken up a whole half WAR, or maybe the last 2 games have taken him up half a WAR in 2 starts. Just absolutely insane stuff from him, and the Rangers have needed him to be a strong number 2. I don't think I was nearly as excited as I should have been for Nathan Eovaldi when the Rangers signed him. It was, in my defense, it was just a couple days after Christmas, and I was like, all right, well, I already gotten my present. This is a nice little extra present there before New Year's, but okay, it's some extra depth. I was kind of confused at the signing because I thought, okay, well, the Rangers already had 5 starting pitchers at that point, and that kind of pushed Jake Odorizzi out of the rotation, and I was like, okay, well, then all right, if Odorizzi's not even good enough to be in your rotation, then that's pretty good. But I don't know, Eovaldi's been hurt a whole bunch, and I don't know how consistent he's been, and even his best year didn't look like it was something that was that impressive that he should finish top 4 in the Cy Young voting. I thought, okay, 180 innings with a 3.75 ERA, like, okay, that's fine, I guess, but that's not anything too crazy. But I mean, watching him pitch, it is just something different. When he is on one, he is really, really on one. He is mowing down the best lineups. And I thought, when if the Rangers do make a deep run, hopefully in the playoffs, you need at least 2 guys at the top end of your rotation that are just absolute horses that on their day they can mow down any lineup. And you got one in Jacob deGrom, hoping that he's healthy. But I thought Nathan Eovaldi is your number 2 starter. I don't know how great I feel about him being in a game 2 against, say a healthy, I don't know, a healthy Dodgers team where he would be going up against someone like Clayton Kershaw. Like, are you really sure Nathan Eovaldi is going to match up against the best, or the second best in the best rotations, or I guess against the Rays, which I guess all other pitchers are kind of nameless and incredibly good. So does anyone really match up with the Rays? Well, Nathan Eovaldi matches up with literally anybody. He has been so consistent, so good. 8 starts for the Rangers, 53 and a third innings, a 2.70 ERA, 56 strikeouts, just 1.4 walks per 9, 0.2 home runs per 9. He is not allowing any homers, and 9.5 strikeouts per 9. The guy has been nails. With Jacob deGrom on the IL, he has been consistent, hoping that the Rangers can keep him healthy as well. It has been a while since he has started 30 games in a season. Actually, well, it's just been since 2021, but he's only done it twice in his career, which is another concern that I had with Eovaldi, is keeping him healthy. But he's been healthy. He has been shoving. He has been incredibly good for the Rangers and incredibly important. And the Rangers offense does it again. They come up clutch. They get only 1 hit with runners in scoring position, which is something they've done very, very well this season. They led the league with batting average with runners in scoring position heading into, I believe, the Seattle series, hitting somewhere in the 330s of the team. That probably isn't going to stay. They went 1 for 7. The only hit came from Leody Taveras, who drove in Josh Young, who had a multi-hit game. Good for him to get off the snide a little bit. It's been a rough week or so after that multi-home run game against the Diamondbacks. He's struggling a little bit coming back down to earth. Good to see him get multiple hits. He also had some smart base running, advancing, I believe it was on a either pass ball or a wild pitch, got himself into scoring position, and then here comes Leody Taveras to drive in that first run. Also got a run from Marcus Semien, in his 7th home run of the season. Continues to mash on the road, continues to mash against the A's. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a revenge game from Jonah Heim. He did get a double in this one, his 9th of the season. I'm assuming he'll probably get at least 1 home run in Oakland. Just a reminder to his former team, hey, you guys traded me just for Elvis Andrus, and as like a kind of throw in the deal with old K. Chris Davis. I'm better than that. And I'm better than the catcher you have right now, and you guys really goofed up on that one. The Rangers really, really won that trade, and Jonah Heim continues to stay in the starting lineup, playing consistently, has a 10-game hitting streak, which is the longest of his career. I'm kind of surprised that he has been starting in so many games consecutively. I'm a little worried about, them wearing him down too much. They do have 3 catchers on the roster at this point. Sam Huff did get into this one to get a pinch hit RBI, but he did not start this one. I'm assuming he'll probably play at some point. I mean, if you're going to play at some point in the big leagues, might as well play against Oakland, get your confidence up, get an at bat against some of the worst pitchers in Major League Baseball. No offense to the A's, but that's just kind of where they are right now. Speaking of minor league teams, which this A's roster almost is, we're going to look at the minor league system, Corey Seager's first rehab game, and back-to-back good starts for Jack Leiter. But first, this episode is brought to you by Sorare. Our new sponsor, Sorare, is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, Sorare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there is no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next-level competitions and rewards. Sorare recently partnered with MLB All-Stars Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez to serve as brand ambassadors. Both are featured in Sorare's current brand campaign and will engage with the Sorare community throughout the season at MLB events. Head to Sorare.com/lockedon, that's spelled SORARE.com, to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's Sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. Now, the Rangers had a minor league game in Frisco. We got to see Corey Seager in the field playing shortstop for 5 whole innings in that one. Started off with a fly out to left field, then in the second at bat, lined a double down the right field line, a 2 RBI double. I was watching that one, and I got to see him turning around the corner at first base, and my heart kind of jumped into my chest, like, all right, Corey, you don't have to make it, you don't have to stretch it out. But it was a very, very easy double. He just kind of lightly jogged out there to second base, and then in his final at bat, he flew a ball out to the right center field warning track, and his day was done after 5 innings, which I believe was the plan on Friday. Today he is going to DH, and then he is going to play the field for 7 innings on Saturday. And then the Rangers will reevaluate. They're hoping to have him early in the series on that starts on Monday at home against the Braves. Then they'll have 3 games at home against the Rockies. I'm thinking that he'll definitely be back by the Rockies series. He's probably going to DH a little bit. The Rangers are going to have to get creative of where they're going to use different guys. Ezekiel Duran will probably still be playing a decent amount of shortstop, but Corey Seager will be back soon, and that is huge for this Rangers team that is still really freaking good. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. The Rangers take on the A's Friday night tonight at 8:40 Central Time. Martin Perez versus Ken Waldichuk. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, the rest of this farm system has been doing fairly well. A little look around at the starting pitchers for last night, a bit of a mixed bag. The Rangers had some impressive, some of their most important prospects on the hill starting. Cole Winn had another very Cole Winny outing, 3 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, all of them were earned, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a home run. Someone asked me last night what the deal was with Cole Winn, and I'll tell you the same thing that I told them. If I knew what was wrong with Cole Winn, I would not be doing this podcast. I would be being paid a lot of money by the Rangers to fix whatever is going on with Cole Winn. I have no idea what's going on with him. It is very frustrating, and I don't know what the next step is there. Another guy who I had been very frustrated with his start of the season with was Jack Leiter, but he's had 2 really impressive starts in a row. I got to watch a little bit of it on MILB TV last night. He went 5 innings, nearly 5 innings without an earned run. The only run came on there were runners on the corners, and the catcher probably shouldn't have even tried to throw out the runner that was trying to steal second base, but he did, and he threw the ball into center field. So the runner on third scored, and the runner that was on first went to third. But that was the only run, only 2 hits for him in this one, 2 walks. The last one, after he was up 0-2 on the 9-hole hitter, he ended up walking the guy. That was really frustrating. A couple pitches that weren't super competitive, but he set a career high with 8 strikeouts still. 5 innings without an earned run, 2 hits, 2 walks. That is a good outing for Jack Leiter. This is 2 straight starts without an earned run. The last start, he went 6 innings, just 3 hits, 2 walks and 7 strikeouts back-to-back. Good outings for Jack Leiter, and the best part is he didn't look like he was missing a whole lot glove side with his fastball. I don't think I saw him miss once. I only watched the last couple of innings of his start, but he looked good. He looked like he was commanding his stuff. He couldn't really land the breaking stuff for strikes. That would have been nice. It was a little wild, but the fastball command was improved from what I saw, and he ratcheted it up there to 99 miles an hour to get his next to last strikeout of the game. Really nice to see him do that. Good to see him just putting together quality starts back to back. The Rangers really needed that from the former number 2 overall pick. If he was going to have to go to be a bullpen guy, we're nowhere near that. We're still in year 2 of Jack Leiter. Like, all of that talk was a little premature, but it was just starting to trend that way. You think, okay, this isn't great. This is a pattern, and it's not getting better. Well, it's getting better now, twice in a row. That is the start of a pattern. If he gets 3 good starts in a row and the month of May just looks fantastic for him, that's going to be great. The other guy, his former Vanderbilt teammate, Kumar Rocker, did not have his best start. 4 solid innings for him, and then everything unraveled in the 5th. Ended up with his line being 4 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned, 2 home runs. Both of those were the first he's allowed this year. Only when walking, did still get 5 strikeouts. His ERAs skyrocketed up to 3.86. He's fine. It'll happen. Things like that happen. That was his start for high A. And in low A, they had Josh Gessner on the mound, and he threw 6 innings without allowing a hit, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 1 unearned run. Down East did still end up getting the loss, but Josh Gessner's ERA is down to a nice 1.69 on the season. Good to see him out there shoving for the Down East Wood Ducks that I was not super high on their pitching staff to start the season, but he's been pretty good. 21 1/3 innings for him. 3 starts, 5 games total, 18 strikeouts, does have 12 walks in 21 1/3 innings. Good to see him limiting those walks a little bit in this outing. But the Down East Wood Ducks, they have not been super great offensively like I thought they might be. Yosi Galan has been kind of the exception to that, but he's 23 years old in low A. He's a little old for that level. Got a 909 OPS. Tucker Mitchell is a 22-year-old at that level, got a 985 OPS. He's been doing pretty well, but some of those teenagers who I thought might be breaking out, not quite so much at this point. Glider Figueroa is still got an OPS below 600. Jason Morabo also has an OPS below 600. Both of those guys will be fine. They're 19 years old. I have every confidence in them. Anthony Gutierrez is getting hot, just a little bit hotter as of late. Does have his on base above 300 now, and slugging above 300 and hitting 269 for an 18-year-old in full season ball. His first full season of full season ball. Got a little bit of time there last year. He's a guy who really, jumped up the rankings this year. I think Baseball Prospectus had him at like 8 in their rankings. I'm pretty sure I had him at 12 in my preseason rankings. Good to keep an eye on him in the Hickory Crawdad system. We're still getting some nice starting pitching performances. Kumar Rocker is leading them with 42 strikeouts in 28 innings. His stuff is just too good for these high A hitters. It is all about keeping him consistent, keeping that delivery and those mechanics consistent, using that lower half of a guy that is just a big old dude. And he is blowing away those hitters. He's also been working on a sinker as well. Still has that changeup and that curveball in his back pocket. I don't know how much he's using them, but it's good to see him get a sinker just to get something off of his four-seamer, adding another pitch. And that slider is just absolutely wicked and way too good for those high A hitters. I don't think they're going to promote him in the first half of this year. I think maybe around the All-Star break is when Kumar Rocker gets his AA promotion. Josh Steffen has also been really freaking good for the Hickory Crawdads. A 1.80 ERA in 25 innings and 29 strikeouts, just 2.2 walks per 9. Love seeing that as well. Mitch Bratt has had a couple of bad outings. His ERA is up to around 3.5. Still more walks, or fewer walks than anybody else on the starting pitching staff, 1.3 per 9 and 10.5 Ks per 9. Good to see that from the 19-year-old who is pretty advanced for that level and for that age, or for his age, being at that level. Good to see the guy, the young Canadian, having some success there. Coming up, we took take a little bit of a look at some guys in Double A and Triple A, and also why the Rangers are really freaking good, and it is time for people to just go ahead and believe it. But first, this episode is brought to you by Gametime. If you guys are looking for last minute tickets to some of these minor league games, if you want to go to a Frisco game, you want to go see, Takoa Roby, you want to go see Corey Seager this weekend while he is rehabbing with the Frisco Rough Riders. Maybe he'll still be there all the way through Sunday. Definitely he'll be there on Friday and Saturday. And you can go get your last minute tickets through Gametime, the best app for last minute deals. Forget all the months of planning in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Gametime guarantee means you'll get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% the difference. So download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day on Monday's show. We're talking about this weekend series, hopefully an update on Corey Seager when we can see him back. But the Rangers take on the A's at 3:07 Central Time on Saturday. John Gray versus JP Sears. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search code Rangers. This Double A Frisco team has been doing a pretty darn good job. It was nice to see the shortstop Luis Angel Acuna see the other power hitting shortstop and say, hey, he's not the only one, and hit a home run over the fence to center field, his third home run of the season. Evan Carter has been in a little bit of a slump as of late. His OPS has dipped all the way down to 873. Honestly, this is kind of, it sounds bad to say that I was like looking for like a slump for Evan Carter, but I kind of was. You want to see him kind of work out of things a little bit, go through a slump and kind of figure his way out of it. But it's been a rough month of May. 7 games for him so far, hitting 143 on base of 294 and no extra base hits. So 9 strikeouts to 5 walks. That is not the Evan Carter that we know. This has been a little bit of a rough stretch for him. I have no doubt that he is going to figure it out. But for all the people who were pumping the gas of Evan Carter to the big leagues right freaking now, this is why you kind of wait. He is still 20 years old and still in Double A. Doesn't turn 21 until the end of August. He will be fine. He will figure it out, and there is no need to panic on Evan Carter because he is still a really, really freaking good baseball player. Now, this Rangers team, there's still been a lot of people putting up these qualifiers about the Rangers and their record, and are they really this good? Well, the Rangers are this good. I think everyone who is watching this team knows that. I think everyone who is seeing them consistently knows that this is not a fluky thing. The Rangers are 23-14 with a plus 86 run differential, which is the second best mark in all of baseball. The next closest team to them is the Atlanta Braves, who have the second best record in all of baseball behind just the Rays, and the Braves are at plus 59. The Rangers are nearly 30 runs better on aggregate on the season than them. They're about 35 below what the Rays are doing, but it's the Rays. There's no point in comparing what the Rangers are doing to the Rays at this point because the Rays are just historically good at this point. Maybe they'll come back down to earth, maybe they won't. And maybe the Rangers will come back down and won't end up winning 105 games, which is what they're on pace to do right now. They are on pace to win 105 games and to run away with this division. That is what they're on pace to do. 3.5 game lead, which is more than almost everybody in the American League. The Rays have a 5-game lead. It's more than the Twins lead on the Tigers. It is a little bit more than the Central Division lead. It is more than the NL West lead the Dodgers have on the Diamondbacks. This is a legitimately good team. They are 6 deep with starting pitchers, maybe 7. Maybe Cole Reagans could be a solid, serviceable starter in a pinch, and hopefully he won't have to be. And maybe that number 7 is even Cody Bradford, who has a sub-1 ERA in AAA, a guy who I talked a little bit about last week on the Farm episode. He continues to be fantastic. A 0.91 ERA in 7 starts for him. I mean, he's been really good, but there's just nowhere to put him in this rotation because it is so freaking deep. Dane Dunning stepping in and being the number 5 starter while Jacob deGrom is out, and he has a 1.72 ERA. I was listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, and they said, "Oh, it's so embarrassing that you get, just dominated by Dane Dunning, who's not a very good pitcher." I like the Locked On Mariners boys, but got some beef. Dane Dunning, he's a good pitcher, and he made Julio Rodriguez, who a lot of Mariners fans are pretty sure is just the next incarnation of Mike Trout. And, he might well be, but he had 1 year in the big leagues, and he is struggling mightily this year. And so is the rest of that Mariners lineup. And I'm not sure the Mariners are going to be able to turn around. They have the prospect capital to make some big trades at the deadline. I think their lineup is full of guys who had good years last year, but I don't know are necessarily world beaters. And even last year, they weren't necessarily world beaters. I mean, Julio Rodriguez was, and I think that Julio Rodriguez is going to be really freaking good and figure it all out. And I don't think he's necessarily the next incarnation of Mike Trout. And I think that giving a guy a 10-year deal after 1 year, I mean, I understand why the Mariners did it because they don't get a whole lot of free agents, and if Julio is what they think he is, then he is going to be well worth that deal and then some. But the Astros struggles are real. The Mariners struggles are real. The Angels are a fine team, but they are most definitely a very flawed team as well. The Rangers could definitely win this division. It is absolutely a possibility. Right now, they have a 53.2% chance to make the postseason, according to Baseball Reference. And according to Fangraphs, the Rangers have a 63.7% chance to make the playoffs. They are inching up into having better odds than the Astros. Right now, the Mariners are under a 25% chance to even make the playoffs. This Rangers team could very well win this division. I mean, the Astros are having some real concerns with injury problems to their starting pitchers. They have a lot of depth. Their lineup has just been bad. It's been mid. They only had 2 really good hitters, in Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez. The rest of their hitters have not been performing like they thought. I mean, the guy who is a former MVP who they signed to go play first base has just been bad. He's been straight up bad, and Alex Bregman has been bad as well. Jeremy Pena has been kind of mid after a really, really good rookie season and a really good postseason last year. He's kind of come back down to earth, and that Astros team that everyone thought was so terribly unbeatable and there's no way that anyone's going to be, they keep losing games and they keep losing players, and it has been a rough stretch for them. They are still a very talented baseball team. Don't get me wrong. They are going to give the Rangers a huge push, I think, down the stretch. And if they get healthy, and if their corner infielders stop hitting terribly and go back to being really good players like they have been for their entire major league careers, which have been pretty long, and they have a track record of being good, then they're probably a better team than the Rangers. But right now, this Rangers team is deep. This lineup might come back down to earth a little bit, but the Rangers are doing all this, and they are building this lead without Corey Seager. They're doing it without Mitch Garver. They are doing it without Jacob deGrom. There should be not a whole lot of questions about, is this team a legitimate contender? There are questions on how deep is this bullpen. There's questions about literally every bullpen, even the Astros one. There are still question marks in every single major league bullpen. There are still questions that, I don't know if this end of the bench, I don't know if Robbie Grossman is really that great, if he should be playing left field. He probably shouldn't be, and I'd like to see Josh Smith out there a little bit more, with Josh Smith being on a little bit of an offensive uptick as of late. But this lineup is really freaking good. The starting pitching is exceptional, and maybe the deepest rotation in all of baseball, like I thought they could be coming into the season, and that is even with deGrom on the IL. Nathan Eovaldi is a beast. John Gray is figuring it out. Andrew Heaney is pretty decent in flashes, and Martin Perez has been very, very consistent. Then you just drop in Dane Dunning, who's also been very consistent and reliable for the Rangers as your 6th best starter. This is a team that can contend with anybody. They're not off to a Rays-like start. Not everybody in their lineup is having an OPS over 900 at this point. Some of the other guys are falling a little bit more back down to earth, but this is still a really freaking good team. And if people want to doubt, let them doubt. They will see how good this team is, hopefully, in the playoffs in October, because I believe the Texas Rangers will be there as the AL West champions. That's going to do it for today's show. Be sure to tune in on Monday to see how Corey Seager's rehab stint went, and maybe even a 5-game winning streak if the Rangers can pull off this mop, a 4-game sweep of the Oakland A's. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy first place Texas Rangers baseball.